Okay, so a game that I've been playing recently, and it's one that I've had in my collection for a while and that's been out for a while. It's called Medina. And this is the second edition, and it's published by Stronghold Games and it's designed by Stefan Dora. Now, this game is it's basically a push your luck game, but everyone is trying to build together a Medina. And I meant to look up what the definition of a Medina was. We did when we were playing the game, but it's like a gathering. Oh, I'm not even going to say because I'm just going to sound stupid. But ultimately, we're building this town, okay? And I already sound stupid, and that's okay. So I'm building this town with three other people, and we're all working together and building these actual structures. Now, this game looks beautiful. It has amazing table presence where the pieces that you're putting out onto the board are actually big, chunky wooden pieces that represent palaces and rooftops and people walking around the town and stables and walls. And so what you're doing is on your turn, all you do is you place two pieces, and they can be any of the pieces that you have hidden behind like a little hut in your play area. And these pieces that you're putting out, like I said, are palaces and walls. But what you're going to do is there are four colors of buildings, and everyone has equal amounts of colors or of building pieces of each color. And you're going to claim these buildings with your rooftops. So there's up to four players. Each player is their own color. And once you put a rooftop on a building, that is yours. No one else can build on it. And essentially, you can't either except one piece with a stable. But what you're trying to do is get the most points. And points are awarded through palace tiles or palace pieces, other pieces that are connected to your buildings. And so it's really push your luck because what you're doing is you'll be adding to these buildings and you'll say, okay, I think this can go around the table one more time before it gets back to me before I claim it. But what ultimately happens is that if you build it, other people are going to build it and they're going to try and claim it as well. So it starts out with just a blank board with just a couple pieces on it. And by the end, it's like the sprawling metropolis of a city, and it just looks beautiful, and it's actually pretty tense. This game it's great to bring out with people who aren't really into board games. It's a great entry level game because it just has this great tension in it, and there's a lot of excitement actually when people can actually see the joy or the production value that can come in a game. Now, I never saw the first version of this. I don't know what the original actually looked like, but this second version from Stronghold Games, man, it's just great. Is this a game that you've seen before?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it before. I'm trying to think. I'm like looking at I'm looking at the box art right now. I've never seen this game before. Actually, never. I've heard of it, just never seen it.
Yeah.
This looks like Santorini on drugs or like on steroids. Like the
Oh,
board layout
yeah.
and everything. I love Santorini, and looking at the board state on this, it's like a grid, and you're putting all the different buildings that you were stating. Man, yeah, this looks like a way more intense version of Santorini. But I do wonder what came out first, Santorini or Medina, because I know they're
For
both
sure,
called.
Medina. I
Okay.
think I got Medina like, I want to say 2014. And I think Santorini came out maybe the next year or the year after that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But like the first edition, I don't know when the first edition came out. This is the Stronghold edition, which is more recent. Honestly, I don't even know it's available right now. I don't know. But yeah, it does look great. Santorini also looks great. Two very different games. Actually, not really now that you say that, because you both take two actions and instead of and they're both putting things out. You know what? There's a lot of parallels to Santorini. That's really interesting. I
The
never thought about
connections are
that.
being made. Holy crap. Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no
Go ahead.
there's no like individual powers. There's no, I don't know what else makes it different.
Well, there's like so what it looks like is that Santorini has the different levels. You have the base, you have the mid tower, and then you have like the top tower and then the cap. So that's like four levels. In this
Hmm.
case, it looks like what's happening is you just have like the different pieces that go up, and it's definitely not as like structured. They're not towers. They definitely seem
That's
like
true.
buildings here in this instance. And honestly, the houses look a tiny bit uninspired with the wood bits. It looks a little I don't know.
So it's not as detailed as Santorini for sure. And in
Right.
Santorini, you're building up, where in Medina, you're trying to build out more, right?
Sure.
But really, once it's done, it is more. It's its own style. It's definitely not. like I said, as detailed, but there definitely is its own style, its own definition of style in this game. I dig it. That is Medina.
So what drew you to Medina? Was it the setting? Was it the type of game it was? I mean, when I personally, this isn't a game that I'd be drawn to. Even now, making the correlation of like, oh, it's kind of like a wood placing game, and you're building tower, or you're not building towers, but you're building buildings. You're building out, et cetera, et cetera. You're trying to cap it. It's not appealing to me. It's not really working for me. What drew you to this
Ooh,
game?
that's interesting. That's an excellent question. Back then, and even now, I think it was just that idea of big chunky wood pieces, building this town together with other players. And honestly, I think I would pick this game over Santorini. I love Santorini. That's a fantastic game. It's on my shelf. That is primarily a two-player game. I know it can be played with more, but it's basically just a two-player game. And Medina can be played with four, and it's just fantastic with four. So it's both the pieces and that idea of pushing your luck and building something together is what drew me to it.
Gotcha. That's cool.
I dig it. Yeah, it's fun.
Did you hear about it from somebody, or was it just something through seeing it on the shelf, just doing your research that you're just like, oh, this looks like a cool game that I want to pick up?
No, I think when I got it, I think it was making the rounds on media, like through podcasts, and I was really obsessed with the Dice Tower back then, and I think it was on there at some point. So that's where I learned about a lot of my games when I started the hobby, was just from podcasts and YouTube videos. I've never been one to just head to the store and look at games and then make a decision based on what I'm looking at without actually like doing my research online. I don't know if people do that. I'm sure people do that. I feel like I need to make a more informed decision than what's on the back of the box.
Oh, I'm such an impulse buyer.
Are you?
I'm such an impulse buyer. Like, it's, if a game looks interesting to me, it doesn't take long for me to be like, yep, it's mine. And then I go, like, yes, I would say so. It's gotten better in recent months, but I know for sure that there'll be times where I'm at one of my local stores and there's like the new release table, and I'm just like, I'll pick up something if I
Interesting.
Really want it. Yeah.
So you'll go to the game store without having a plan on what you're expecting to purchase.
Right. Yep. I just go and peruse.
For board games.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I go not expecting to buy a game. I just like to, well, one, just be there and look at what's there, but I don't think I've actually just bought one without knowing something beforehand. That's interesting. So has that backfired at all?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely backfired a few times. I picked up, so one instance is a game called Delve. Have you heard of Delve before?
No.
Delve is a tile-laying game that was like akin to Carcassonne, but in a dungeon. So it had like, that's kind of what sold me, right? It's like, I love Carcassonne, I love dungeons. You're telling me that someone combined the two and put it together? Sweet. Sat on my shelf, and when I did a purge, it was just like, I looked at everything in the box, and there was so much stuff in it, and I was like, and I think I got rid of it. Or
well,
it's
I'm
like,
sure you've had wins too, right?
Oh yeah, I've definitely had wins as well. Now I can't tell you what those those wins are, but I've had wins. I have not prepared. This is all off the cuff. I'd have to look. If I were to be upstairs and look at my collection, I could definitely rattle off a few. But yeah, there's definitely been some winners there that I've just been really like, oh, this is neat, and I'll just buy it.
Oh, that's really funny. No, what? I should do that sometime. I'm just going to go and not... Honestly, no, I can't do that. There's no good store by me that has a lot of selection. They'll have some board games, but they're primarily Magic and miniature stores. There's not one that's like focused primarily on board games.
Oh, dude,
unfortunately.
Utah, you got to pick your game up.
No,
Literally.
Here's the thing. In Utah, I think like board gaming is one of the biggest hobbies here. Like, I should go find facts to back that up, but it is a popular hobby. I just don't know if someone has really captured that. Now, we do have a board game cafe finally in a college town a bit south of me. But other than that, like, there are good game stores and they're, awesome customer service. It's just the selection is not ideal.
Remember when we were talking about Medina?
Oh, I think that's a game I've played, right?
Yeah.
Medina
Do you want to talk
by
about
Stronghold
Medina?
Games.
Right? Yes, Medina
Yeah,
Stronghold
sure.
Games.
We're just gonna go. What have you been playing?